Hi, Blake and Matt from Football Boost at Karuke, and today we're going to test and review the headline release by Nike Football for 2016, the Mercurial Superfly 5. So how does it compare to the previous generation and previous Mercurial generations? Let's find out.
I can feel your energy pulsating down my spine. I am not the enemy. No need to run and hide. No. As the night draws near, we are animals of fear.
Noise, not saving it.
So much like the Superfly 4, the Superfly 5 is designed and marketed for those speed players, the wingers and strikers, the players that like to score goals. Cristiano Ronaldo, Kevin De Bruyne, Alexis Sanchez, Anthony Martial, Paulo Dybala and Dimitri Payet are the headline wearers of the Superfly 5. One of the standout aesthetic and performance features of the Superfly 5 is of course the speed ribs. Now they merge with the Brio cables and the laces to really lock down your foot into the shoe, and they're really designed to enhance friction on the ball when you're striking and passing the ball. On the medial side of the boot, you'll see that the speed ribs are slightly thicker than what you see on the lateral side of the boot. Lateral side of the boot is really designed for dribbling, and the medial side is designed for shooting, passing and controlling the ball.
So looking at the fit of the new Superfly 5, and just like its predecessor, it will be narrow in the midfoot and into the toe box as well. And the toe box will actually be even more narrow compared to the Superfly 4, so it definitely won't be the best for wide-footed footballers. One standout feature of the Superfly 4 was that it actually ran half a size long. However, the new Superfly 5 is much more true to size. You can go half a size down if you want a more snug fit, but in my opinion, you should go true to size. The overall braking time of the new Superfly will be a little bit easier than what you found on its previous model. It has those speed ribs across the entire upper to help the flex zones, and also it lacks the carbon fibre Soleplate, which the Superfly 4 had, and that was very stiff.
So like on the Superfly 4, the Superfly 5 has a Flynet upper from heel to toe, which in hand is very soft and on feet is very soft as well, and it's going to be a much more structured feel and fit compared to the Superfly 4. On the Superfly 4 you had a very second skin barefoot feel, but with the added speed ribs on the boot, it's going to be a much more structured and protective feel inside these Superfly 5 boots. So like we saw on the Superfly 4, the Superfly 5 again has that dynamic fit collar, which does raise above the ankle for a sock-like feel and fit. Really, it's all about personal preference, whether you like that, whether you don't. You've also got the Vapor 11, which has the traditional lock-up design. And one major improvement of the Superfly 5 has over the Superfly 4 is that the seam on the dynamic fit collar has been sort of minimized and reduced to a sort of stitching design, which will reduce blisters in the break-in period. And arguably the standout feature to the Superfly 5 is their brand new Soleplate. The Soleplate is designed to follow the natural contours of your foot, which aids responsiveness. It's going to be much more responsive than the carbon fibre seen on the Superfly 4. This is because the Soleplate actually mirrors your foot from heel to toe. On the forefoot we again see that split toe design, which merges with the big toe and the smaller toes to really aid responsiveness in that forefoot region. It's very similar to what you see on the Hibernian Phantom 2 boot by Nike Football. So the carbon fibre on the Superfly 4 really had that snap back. It was much stiffer than the Soleplate you see on the Superfly 5, and that sort of enhanced acceleration. But what this Soleplate is designed for is braking and acceleration. So you've got studs on the heel, which is designed for braking, and studs on the forefoot, which is designed for acceleration. They're all in that chevron design, a really aggressive and responsive Soleplate by Nike Football. Weight-wise, this boot will be much lighter than the Superfly 4. The Soleplate itself is 40 grams lighter than the carbon fibre seen on the Superfly 4, which is a much needed improvement. So this boot is going to weigh around 200 grams depending on the size you have, with the Superfly 4 weighing at roughly 230 to 240 grams. So if we just take things back a bit and talk about the design of the launch Superfly 5, it's got Total Crimson, it's got Pink Blast, it's got Black, and it's got Volt Yellow, a very modern colorway, and it's really all about personal preference. To be honest, I'm not really a major fan of this launch design. I'm sure many future colorways for the Superfly 5 will be much better looking than this one. So to make the Superfly 5 look much different to the Superfly 4, they've utilized that half-half design. Speed ribs are thicker on one side and thinner on the other side. And it's really sort of unique thing to the Superfly 5. The Superfly 4 had a really sort of classy, sort of modern design. The World Cup launch design for the Superfly 4 was crimson and gold, a really classy design. And this is a much more modernistic design for the Superfly 5.
So into the most important aspect of the new Superfly 5, and that is its performance. Now what you'll find is that it's a little bit more responsive compared to Superfly 4, and that's because of the speed ribs across the entire upper. Very responsive there. Looking at the Soleplate as well, that's been newly designed, and it has those 2 braking studs at the heel region, and that will just give you a little bit more stopping power as well to be, again, a little bit more responsive. Looking at the upper itself, and it's a little bit thicker due to those speed ribs, so it won't give you a barefoot feel like the Superfly 4, but overall it will be like a second skin, not as much as Superfly 4, but a very nice upper for touch and striking the ball. So into the actual feel of the upper, and there's actually quite a lot going on. It is soft, but not as soft or a second skin as its previous Superfly 4. That's because of the speed ribs, which add structure to the upper as well as aid in protection. It has ACC technology across its entire upper, and those speed ribs will just create a little bit more friction than what you found on its previous Superfly 4.
So the improvements the Superfly 5 has over the Superfly 4 is that it's much lighter. It's going to be 40 grams lighter than the Superfly 4, a much needed improvement in a speed boot. The Soleplate is much more responsive because the Soleplate actually mirrors the shape of your foot from heel to toe, a much needed improvement. The studs also help braking. The Superfly 4 stud system was really designed for aggressive acceleration, but the Superfly 5 stud system is really designed for braking and acceleration combined. And in terms of the upper, the Superfly 5's upper is virtually the same softness as what you see in the Superfly 4, and the speed ribs are really designed to enhance curve and friction on the ball. The Superfly 4 lacked any sort of friction technology on the ball. They had that speed 3D texture, but this texture on the Superfly 5, the speed ribs, is much more aggressive, especially on the medial side of the boot where you strike the ball. Another improvement the Superfly 5 has over the Superfly 4 is that the seam on the dynamic fit collar right on the back of the heel there has been reduced. So you're not going to get as many blisters in the braking period compared to what you did in the Superfly 4. As you know, pro level boots are really designed for performance and aesthetics, but all boots have weaknesses. The major one for me is that the boot really doesn't need the dynamic fit collar. It's really more of a marketing thing than anything to do with performance. It wraps the ankle for a sock-like feel and fit, which is a really nice and comfortable feel, and it really helps to enhance that lockdown fit in the midfoot. But really, the dynamic fit collar is not really a feature which is needed in the Superfly 5. You could stick with the Vapor 11, which has the traditional low-cut design. And arguably this boot's biggest weakness is that it does not suit wide-footed footballers. The boot's last is very narrow, much like the Superfly 4. It's not going to suit wide-footed footballers very well. As we have just tested and played in the Superfly 5s, you still probably will get blisters on the heel, but it won't be as bad as what you got in the Superfly 4. So what's our overall opinions on the Mercurial Superfly 5? Someone like me who has a really wide feet felt it very narrow in the midfoot, especially. You've got the speed ribs, you've got the laces, and you've got the brio cables, which really makes it really narrow in the midfoot. Not the best for me, but in saying that, I did love the new speed rib design. It's much more aggressive on the medial side of the boot and much less aggressive on the lateral side of the boot. So it's going to be great for striking the ball. Adds a little bit more curve to the ball. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I agree with you, Blake. The speed ribs actually do a really good job in terms of making the upper a little bit better than what you found on the Superfly 4. One thing that I wasn't so confident about was that it didn't have the carbon fibre sole plate in terms of responsiveness, but the new sole plate, trust me, it's a really good addition. So overall, in my opinion, it's slightly better than the Superfly 4. Not a great deal, it is very responsive still, and I think the speed rib upper is again another positive.
So what do you guys think? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Any questions, please chuck it in the comments section. And would you prefer the Superfly 4 or the Superfly 5? Please vote in our poll card now. That is our review of the Mercurial Superfly 5. Thank you very much for watching, and as always,
We'll see you next time.